Hi, and welcome to T5. This is a trade study and a review for the Lehman Brothers short. Setting the stage here a little bit, remember we found this short in looking at weak industry groups over the last month period, and Lehman Brothers showed up on our scan. As I reviewed this, one thing I really liked about this chart was the fact that it had tried to make a new high, and after doing so, look at the amount of volume during the fall here. So again, a lot of participation after that failed attempt at making a new high. We then pull back into this little area of resistance here. Hopefully old support is then going to become resistance. Going over to the weekly chart here, the one thing that really jumped out at me about this trade was the fact that our volatility was very low at this point. As you can see by the yellow line here, this is the lowest it had been in the last 6 months. So we've got a lot of energy in this trade. With this much energy, I feel the risk is worth the reward. I figure we can roughly come back down to this 60 area. So we place a limit order here on our entry and automatically hook a stop. That way, if we get filled tomorrow, our stop is already in place. The next day happens, and as you can see, those lows were broken, which then put us into the trade. We now become managers of this trade. Not too much happened today, so we're going to go ahead and leave this thing alone for a minute. I don't like to move my stop too close too fast. Alright, now we start moving in our direction a little bit. Again, I'm going to give this thing a chance and don't want to squeeze it too much, so we're going to go ahead and leave our stop where it is for the time being. Now we've gotten a big move down on the stock, and again, I really like the volume that came in. I'm going to take this opportunity to move my stop to what I call my break-even point. This is where, even if I get stopped out, I won't lose my capital on the trade. I think of it as playing with the house's money. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stop down where the blue line is to this break-even point. The next day we have just a little inside day doji formation come in. Now this is an interesting trade in the sense that I now go on vacation for the next 3 days, so I don't get a chance to look at the stock and its movement during that time. After returning from vacation, you can see that we've had a nice move down in the stock. As I sit and look at this, it's time to make a decision. Do I run a loose stop and try to hang in there? Or do I tighten my stop up and try to protect some of my profits? This is our job as traders. I'm going to go use the weekly chart to see if we can learn anything here. So again, my decision here is to run it tight or run it loose. After that big of a move, I'm going to make a decision and kind of go tight with my stop. After seeing a few choppy days here, we have not left the range of this big hammer bar. So I figure I'm going to use that for a stop. I'm going to go ahead and move my stop down right above this high, hoping that if the stock continues to go down, it doesn't break that high first. And again, we're just sealing in some profits at this point. The next day it sneaks up just to stop us out, and then as you can see, reverses and goes all the way down for the rest of the day. Had my stop pretty tight on this, but I didn't think it was that tight. And in this example, I'm wrong. Now here, this is still a good trade. We have an R of 4.86. Now remember, R refers to how much did I make versus how much I risked. So in this example, I made almost 5 times what my initial risk was on the trade. In my book, anything over 4 is golden. So this is a good trade. Let's wait a couple weeks and then we'll do a review of it. Looking back out on a trade in hindsight is always the best thing in the world. I'd be a much better trader if I could trade in this light. Here, in hindsight, you can see that we had our stop just a little too close on this one. It head faked up just enough and then did another 10-point move from where we exited the trade. Alright, some thoughts on the trade. Not a bad trade, and again, I'm happy with the risk-reward ratio we got out of it, but always trying to learn and better myself as a trader. The one thing is, when you're in a weak market and you've got the weakest sector out there, if you can't risk a little at that point and maybe run a looser stop, I don't know when you can. And I had it pretty tight on that one. Not too much more. And again, I think that's a good case for having multiple entry and exit techniques. That way you can structure trades however you feel the most comfortable.